When Treyarch put out a blog post a few days ago saying that they were going to be increasing the zombies' health in later rounds, the community seemed a little bit mixed. Some people thought it was a good thing because Cold War Zombies has been largely easy for high rounds so far, while others were worried that Treyarch would overcorrect the health and high rounds would become insanely difficult or downright impossible to complete. And it seems like that second group of people had a good reason to be worried after all, because last night the changes for Cold War Season 3 Reloaded went live with buffs for pretty much every gun in the game. Now that seems contradictory to what I was talking about, because why would gun buffs be bad? Well, because everything else got buffed but the ray gun. That got nerfed again by reducing its ammo and its splash radius. Along with that, the zombies' health increase pretty much broke high rounds and every old zombie strategy entirely. And this is because before the patch, in the round based maps like D Machine and Firebase Z, at about round 40, the zombies' health would stop increasing. Zombies would be left with around 35,000 health, and you could one-shot them with the ray gun or the Howler, and sometimes the Gallo if you hit them in the chest or, in the head. But after this update, once you reach round 40, the zombies' health continues to increase by 2,000 health every single round. And on the surface, that doesn't seem like a lot of health considering that they already had 35,000. But once you reach round 60, 70, 80, 90, and ammo mods are really the only thing that can kill zombies, it starts to become a problem. Especially with the current meta where Cryo Freeze deals no damage, Shatter Blast is bad, Dead Wire is bad, Napalm Burst isn't very good, and Turned has a 30-second cooldown timer. Dead Wire's apparently getting a buff in the next few days, but I'm not holding my breath for it to become overpowered again. It'll probably be good, but not as good as it was. Ring of Fire might also still be somewhat viable with the ray gun, but it's not as easy as it used to be, and it's just not going to be useful for round 3, 4, 500 for casual players especially. And not even just casuals, pretty much anyone that isn't a high skill world record player is probably going to struggle with Ring of Fire, especially once you have super sprinters. Along with that, the score streaks and your specialist abilities aren't going to be killing zombies either, because they didn't receive any buffs in this update and they barely did enough damage to take out zombies before the update, so they're pretty much going to be useless after round 50 and 60. So we're in a weird position where until round 40, zombies has become easier due to the stronger weapons overall, where everything else has better headshot multipliers, does more damage, and they're just overall better. But once you hit round 40, it just becomes super difficult. And arguably, it's not just becoming more difficult, it's just going to become more tedious, because the only way to get through rounds is training up zombies until you're turned and eventually your dead wire is recharged. So basically, we're back to Black Ops 3 meta, but if you made everything way slower and only 1 or 2 ammo mods is useful. And something I haven't even touched on yet is how this is going to affect pretty much every world record in the game. Those are all probably going to have to be wiped out and redone, and they're going to have to start up just completely from scratch. Because at least in my opinion, this is a really big change for high rounds, because long gone are the days of round 700 or 1000 games, because you just simply can't do some of the old faster strategies that you were able to do before. Especially on Firebase Z, where a lot of the strategies required you to use the Ray K, and now that it can't kill zombies past a certain point, it's just really not going to be all that useful, and that world record is going to have to be lowered. Maybe Dead Wire becomes the best thing in the game though, and realistically we could get to round 500 again, but I think I'm going to set my expectations a little bit lower than that, and I'm going to say realistically they're probably going to be back down to around 250 or 300. That's still very high. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, round 300 is still incredibly high, especially considering how difficult something like Black Ops 2 was to high round. Black Ops 3 we could probably get to round 300 on some maps if there wasn't the round cap, but it's still round 300 is a lot. But going from a few weeks ago, Insomnia Virus hitting round 1000 in Outbreak, to now we aren't even going to be able to get to a third of that is really going to be interesting. And it's either going to revitalize the high round scene to where, oh hey, there's actually skill involved and now I want to actually play the game and push for high rounds, or it's just going to alienate more people that have come in and have been pushing the world record up since the game came out. Only time can really tell on that one. I'm not sure. This could really honestly go one of a few ways, and it's all really going to be interesting from here on out. But overall though, I'm mixed with this all, because Cold War Zombies high rounds did sort of become a joke for skilled players, but at the same time it was nice to see noobs have their fun and finally get to around 50 or 100 or in some cases even 200. There were a lot of people who joined the community and now have become beloved faces that really just, they joined in Cold War and they saw, hey, high rounds were somewhat easy, and they just continued to do them. And I've personally enjoyed the easiness of Cold War because it meant I could go to round 50, grab a new gun, and mess around with it while killing a few zombies along the way. I wasn't going to be taking out entire hordes with a MAC-10, but still, I could kill a few zombies if I really needed to. For camo grinders as well, it took away that element of having to just restart your games over and over again once you hit round 30 because whatever you were using stopped killing zombies and you were just wasting time. But in Cold War, yeah, you could just keep going with it forever and just buying ammo. But back to the other side of the coin, it does bring some prestige back to high rounds, where it takes more than sitting with a ring of fire and a ray gun to reach round 500, which in other games would basically be considered god tier. So again, I'm very mixed on this, and I truly believe that this is the most important update that Cold War has had so far, because it pretty much changes everything about the game in some way, shape, or form. And the one thing that I feel really bad for in all of this is the ray gun, because before launch, everyone was so excited to use it again, and it was finally going to be back, and it was going to be prominent. And then at launch, it was fucking amazing. Then it got nerfed again and again and again, but even through all of that, it was still the best weapon in zombies. But now though, it's just sort of been tossed aside because ammo mods are really the only way that most people are going to be able to high round. It'll still be a weapon that you use, sure, and it'll get you through rounds, 1 through 50, but after that, it's really only going to be useful for the dogs, or if you find a ring of fire strategy that could work for you. I know I also didn't touch on Outbreak very much in this video, and that's because I haven't had the time to high round it to see if the changes affected that mode too, and because most people really can't reach around 40 on Outbreak anyway, so it's a little bit less impactful. I have to say though, how funny would it be if Outbreak and the round-based maps ended up being on completely different metas for the rest of the year? Like the how we're still one-shots everything in Outbreak forever, and then it's just completely garbage in the round-based maps. If you're someone who doesn't watch YouTube or Twitch streams or anything like that, you'd be so confused at the best of times, and it would be hilarious. But as much of a meme as that would be, it would actually be somewhat good in my opinion, because I think Outbreak is really casual, and because of its open world nature, you still need to be able to kill things even at round 3, 4, 500, whatever. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I think it would actually be quite funny, but also quite useful if Outbreak and the round-based maps ended up being really different to each other. If you have tried to high round Outbreak since this update did come out, could you please tell me in the comments if anything did get, any difficult, or if it stayed on pretty much the old way that Zombies was, where the Howler was killing everything forever? And while you're down there, could you please leave a like? I would appreciate it. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole update? I'm actually really excited for the direction that the game is going in, but I'm cautiously optimistic, because either this is going to revitalize Cold War and really bring some prestige back to the higher end players of this game, the really skilled ones who should deserve to be on top, and I think that maybe it'll push people to want to actually be good at the game now. Or it's going to alienate a lot of players, I'm really not too sure, but I'm excited for the Outbreak Easter egg tomorrow, and I'm going to be posting some stuff on that, so yeah. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I love you guys so much. Like I said, tell me what you think about the update in the comments. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.